Dear listeners, there's a new episode for the CyberPod EU.
This is CyberPod EU, the European cybersecurity podcast powered by Sockwise.
I'm Craig Leshku from Sockwise here, your host today. In this episode, we are going to discuss the topics with Patrice Chelim from France, who is actually founded a school for cybersecurity, which itself is an interesting topic, I think, to discuss. And we participated in the same program during the last weeks, which makes our relationship a little bit more closer than you can normally hear it from other people. So, hello, Patrice. How are you today?
I'm fine. Hi, Greg. Thanks a lot for having me today.
I'm so happy that we could do this. So, as I just told the audience that we were together in the same team for a longer journey. But before jumping into any of the topics, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself a little bit about your professional career, whatever you find interesting for the people.
Yeah, sure. So I'll jump right into it. So first, I kicked off my career in KPMG Luxembourg as a financial auditor. So diving into financial auditing and risk analysis. And from there, I moved to internal audit roles in a multinational corporation, first in a FMCG industry at Sara Lee, and then in the chemical sector at Solvay. And there I had the chance to basically focusing on global audit strategies and business finance processes. I actually transitioned then to cybersecurity. It was only in 2016, so quite recent. And eventually, I became the Chief Information Security Officer at Solvay. And I had the opportunity to design and implement security programs from the ground up. And then in 2022, I felt the pull of entrepreneurship, and I co-founded CSB School, the first educational institution dedicated solely to cybersecurity management. And the following year, so in 2023, I also co-founded BPR Security, so BPR like for blue, purple, red, which is a consulting firm providing advisory services into the cybersecurity field, basically supporting our customers to design cybersecurity strategies and in order to strengthen their cybersecurity posture. So that's about it.
Wow, that's a lot of topics to discuss, I think. So this time it's going to be really difficult to keep the focus on the subject I planned, or we planned for this episode. But I think it's going to be interesting, whichever topic we are picking. May I ask something about your former job and maybe the former tasks regarding Solvay? You mentioned that you were traveling pretty much, or I don't want to go very much in details, but we have different type of CISOs in contact with, or we are in contact with, and there are very, very different characters from these aspects. Which kind of character were you in? Did you have a larger team? Did you or really work as more a manager or a leader, or more technical person? How would you describe your
Well, actually,
attitude?
I guess, so thanks a lot for the question. I guess it's confession time. So I had no computer science or IT academic background when I took this cybersecurity role. So what I did is really to heavily rely on the team of experts that I had. It was a team of between 15 and 20. So I started with 20 people. I ended up with 15, cost reduction. But yeah, I was dealing with compliance topics, with technical cybersecurity topics as well, with business continuity topics as well. So I was really working hand in hand with the IT function, IT departments, with the businesses as well. So I was more and trying to explain in, let's say, business terms and simple words what cybersecurity is about and what are the risks we're exposed to if we don't act in this area. And it's really to bring the light on the work that the team was doing and to make it accessible to the top management. And so I would say I was not a technical guy for sure, even if I had to understand and to dive in some technical topics. But I wasn't the one, let's say, go and making some configuration of the firewalls or the EDR console. But I was more, setting the direction, getting the budget also so it can work, and also raising alerts to the various teams acting in the cybersecurity field, because it's not only about the cybersecurity teams, it's not only about the IT teams, it's about everyone in the company. So that's what I was dealing with.
Great. I think it's maybe easier if you have more management aspects than technical aspects when you try to convince or cooperate with the peers. One last question. Whom did you report it to? The CIO or? I
first was reporting to the head of what we call the shared businesses services, so a shared service platform. Then I reported into the chief security officer, so moving from, let's say, the support function to corporate. And as part of the chief security officer, he was also dealing not only with information security that I was managing, but also with physical security and threat intelligence. So it was a comprehensive team at corporate level dealing with this topic.
Fraud, maybe, I think. But it's also a question whether it's information technology problem or not. The fraud itself,
it's a matter. The reporting line doesn't really matter in the end. It's a matter of maturity of the overall organization. It's also a question of defining clear roles and responsibilities, and getting along also with the people you're working with, of course. So that matters. Yeah.
Totally agree. I was convinced for many years that the best is when the CISO directly reports to the CEO. But then I read different papers, and then it for me, I realized that it's a complex question, and it's not A or B. There are many different combinations, and many of them can lead to success anyway.
And that's exactly what there's a training course that I'm leading with the students here in CSB school, and that's exactly my conclusion is to say, no matter the reporting line, it all depends on if you get the job done or not. So,
Great. So, how about talking a little bit about our common child or parents, I don't know, IVLP program?
IVLP,
That's just a sentence regarding that. Probably the most people don't know because I never heard of it, despite my age, which is 45 at the moment. The IVLP is the International Visitor Leadership Program, which is a program financed by the Department of State in the US, and it works so that the embassies in actually hundreds of countries all over the globe have the opportunity to find persons for different programs or projects within the IVLP program, and they have the opportunity to visit the United States with a team and get a better understanding of a subtopic. And in our case, it was cybersecurity. The name was Promote Cybersecurity, and we visited 4 states, 5 cities, dozens or almost 100 different stakeholders, organizations. So it was a huge impression, I think, for both of us. That was the place we got to know each other. So I'm really grateful for the American nation, to say so. On one hand for the program, but on the other hand to get to know you as well. So what we have, it was 2 weeks ago approximately when we recently arrived back in home. What are your impressions after 2 weeks of?
So it's a good thing that it's still fresh because it was only 2 weeks ago, and it was a great opportunity to meet a lot of smart people working in the cybersecurity field. So being within our group, it was 15 of us, or also with all the US citizens we met. So basically, if I look at my favorite moments, I would say I make a distinction between the professional side and the personal side. So I'll start with the professional side. I really had 3 standout moments. The first one was when we visited the Space Information Sharing and Analysis Center in Colorado Springs. This session was really eye-opening because, with more than 10,000 active satellites and millions of space debris orbiting Earth, the space sector is really vital for everything from communication to navigation, and sometimes you don't realize it because you just take it for granted. And it was really fascinating to see or to learn about the intersection of intelligence, space, and cyber, especially when you consider the risk posed by, adversary risk or space weather conditions out there. We had Hector Falcon coming in, and presenting the floor, and the team as well, Mairead Leviston as well. So they really had a super nice approach, and it's something that I didn't suspect, that I knew about, but I didn't suspect how critical it was for us. So that's one. A second standout moment for me was the meeting we had with Garun Lacey in the Department of State. He's probably one of the sharpest minds I encountered as part of this program. Super straightforward, transparent, and he was refreshingly unfiltered for a state official.
Yes.
And yeah, so he provided us with a really honest and honest view on, the breakdown of nation-state threats, from outright disruptions campaign to long-term election disruption strategy a decade from now. So that was also kind of mind-boggling to have this interaction with Garun. And last, on the professional side, really what I appreciated was the deep dive we had into the U.S. privacy regulation landscape with Dorsey and Whitney at Denver, which was a little bit of a surprise for me. I didn't expect to learn as much as I did learn from this session. But I really learned how, privacy is perceived and treated differently across region. So if you take the US, for instance, there is no overarching, federal privacy law. And personal data is really viewed as a business asset. As a consequence, all the state level laws focus more on consumer rights protection. So that's if you compare that to China, for instance, where personal, data is largely viewed as, let's say, on the lens of citizenship, with an objective of societal stability, then the perspective is different from the regulation standpoint. While Europe is trying to find a balance between citizenship, privacy rights, and consumer privacy rights with a comprehensive regulation with GDPR, for instance. So that was really interesting to see that the privacy laws was not only reflecting, regulation, but it was reflecting also cultural priorities. So that was quite interesting as well to attend to. Yeah. So that's it on the professional side. Yeah.
Absolutely agree. And I think, so first, the space itself. I mean, we had several occasions to meet the space technology, which is great. Maybe you are going to mention it too, so I don't want to to talk about it yet. Secondly, also the privacy. It was also for me something new, with which we don't have that much presence, that many projects, for instance, because of the GDPR. It's so straightforward in Europe. That's it, and that's a very good regulation. However, it's more than difficult to meet all the expectations and requirements. And also, all of your points. But do you think the reason that these were, the Department of State and their attitudes towards us, maybe that was also something special because the whole program is organized by them, and maybe they looked at us like colleagues in a way. I had an intimate feeling, if I may use that expression in this. Do you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we really had a warm welcome, and you really felt valued as part of this exchange. So, all right. So, what can you do, guys, at your level in your field of cybersecurity to help us counter these national threat actors? So that's really it felt good to see that you're not alone, but it also helped you realizing what the threats everyone is facing right now. So that was in that sense it was really a great session to have with them. Yeah.
Okay. And regarding the space and the privacy, so these are it's just a coincidence that we had these topics in this program, or is it something which is very different from US perspectives or from Europe or Asia or whatever? place of the Earth name.
For privacy, really it was interesting because once again the complexity of the US is really okay. You have federal level on one side and all the state levels, so you have as many different privacy laws than you have states basically. So I guess it was a way for them to show the effort they were putting in it, even if I believe that Europe is really setting the mark, I mean, for when it comes to privacy. So it really is a standard, I would say, that everyone is actually looking after and try to implement in his own country. Space, well, it makes sense because the leader in terms of space launch is the US, and they need to ensure that it will keep that way, or at least that whatever they launch up there will be well protected and not going to be disrupted. So it makes sense. I mean, it's all part of the defense strategy as a whole. So privacy on one side, space on the other side. So yeah, it made sense for them to have this as part of the program, I guess. Yeah.
So it was not a coincidence at the end.
It wasn't.
That's
it
my
opinion
as well. It means that the people organizing this program did a good job actually, because I think finding spots which really express the differences and what we should understand regarding the US are typically these ones. But if I may add, one thing which I found interesting from technical perspectives is the role of the OT and embedded system security, which if you recall it, I would say in most or almost every meeting when we had cybersecurity professionals on the other side of the table, it just somehow got into the words, and then we talked about that. It was so natural for them, which was for me positively shocking compared to what I experienced in Europe.
Yeah.
Do you think of that?
Absolutely, definitely OT and IoT. So is really the next frontier for cybersecurity. I mean, in the IT world, it's quite straightforward. I mean, the technology is there. Some of those technologies is actually quite mature now. So we're improving, of course. When it comes to the OT environment or to the IoT, well, OT, let's say it's legacy systems, quite old. They really go for availability as a priority. So you don't want to disrupt that and start to put a layer of security on top of it with the risk of disrupting the continuity of the OT operation. So you really need to think this through. And IoT, not that it's new, but it's expanding and the surface is growing. So of course, the necessity for security is growing as well. So those two topics, OT and IoT, are typically what we injected into our training programs as a priority for students, because it's out there, it's critical, and it's still lacking a little bit of maturity in that regard. Yeah.
Great. So some personal impressions, or?
Yeah, personal impression for first,
places,
well, actually there were so many, so I had to pick some of them. So, the first is, of course, the visit at the Kennedy Space Center, where we had the chance to speak with a former astronaut, and we witnessed a rocket launch. So this was just amazing. So that's the first standout moment on a personal standpoint. The second that I liked a lot was the warm home hospitality dinner we had at Mike and Andrea Borzak's place. It was a really great time, super warm welcome. Both are working at University of Central Florida, and we had great exchanges on, training on cybersecurity too. So that was great. And another, and last but not least, of course, NBA games. I'm a huge NBA fan. So having the chance to see 3 live games, so 5 teams in action, was a teenage dream come true. So that was great as well. Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good memory as well for me. Regarding the hospitality and overall the human aspect of the United States, I came to the conclusion, which I had known before, but it was so realistic, that you can so much easier talk to the people anywhere, so much opener they are, and the communication, exchanging ideas seem to me at least much easier than to which I'm used to. What are your impressions in this means?
Yeah, I agree. As it's everyone we met was really engaging. Showing willingness to know more about us, about our lives, about how we found America, the places we visited, where we're going next. So yes, they show a lot of interest, and that was not that it was unexpected, but it was really super easy to engage the conversation. So in that sense, it's true that it's probably not as warm. I would say you probably couldn't have the same warm welcome in other places in the world, but there for sure you felt quite comfortable quite rapidly by exchanging with people for sure. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so when you derived that, did you find anything which you can build in? I think you just mentioned IoT aspect, for instance, into your company. And yeah, in general, would you tell a bit more? Actually, you named two, so maybe we should go one by one. Consulting and training or education.
Yeah, so maybe let me start with CSB School. So CSB School is really all about preparing the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. We offered bachelor degrees and master degrees. The bachelor degrees is really focusing on pen testing, network security, and threat detection, while the master degree is focusing more on governance, compliance, and incident response. So since 2022, we've grown to 100 students, and really we want to make sure as well that as part of our program, all students are preparing the recognized individual professional certification in the cybersecurity field. So I'm talking, for instance, CEH for the hacking part. I'm talking also ISO 27001 for the ISMS part. And CISSP for the bravest of them at the end of our program. So that's what we are proposing for the school part. Then
impressive.
Yeah.
I mean that you also are able to provide a degree, starting an organization from scratch and achieve this. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah. No, actually, I was. When I visited some educational institution in the US and saw what were the programs, what the training that were proposed, they are proposing, I felt reassured on the fact that we were not that well. We were actually in a good shape compared to what I saw in the US, and sharing the same challenges as well. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of what we achieved over 3 years. Of course, it's not the end of the road. But yeah, so far so good. And really this professional certification is key because this is what is recognized by the job market. And what we want to do as a school is to make sure that at the end of the day, all students will find a job out there. So we are still a kind of a young school, all right? So we don't have a 100-year reputation. So we need to make sure that we provide it on top of the degree that we did create. That we provided them with something that is useful from a professional standpoint. So that's what we aiming at. And as I mentioned, apart from the school, we also created BPR Security, so a consulting firm, which basically complementing the ecosystem we created around education and advisory services in cybersecurity. And really, as I mentioned in the introduction, we're really here to make sure that mid-sized companies are really equipped to build their own cybersecurity strategy roadmap, and they can strengthen their posture. So that's what we're doing. And it makes sense to have education on one side, consulting on the other side. We have our consultants who actually are teachers at the school. We have also consultants who can train themselves at the school, and we can have some students actually that we can hire as well to work for the consulting firm, and we can propose those services as well in terms of training and coaching to the companies actually knocking at our door. So that's a well-rounded ecosystem in cybersecurity. Yeah.
It sounds really comprehensive. Why did you choose the name? I mean, blue, purple, red. I mean, I know the terms, but from consulting perspectives, I think it's not fully straightforward.
Yeah, we could probably do a better job from a marketing standpoint. It's basically the first name that popped out, and we say, okay, let's go for it.
No, I really love it, and it's just being more and more popular. And we heard a lot about those kind of exercises in the different U.S. organizations we visited. Specialists, do you have really this kind of cyber defense consulting topics? So you are really performing a purple teaming exercise, for instance?
No, what we offer is also it's all going to depend on the maturity of the company we're going to work with. Most of them have a maturity level where we need to start with the basics. So it's first a security audit, then we do some pen tests as well, both actually physical and logical pen tests, because the two are interconnected. And then when the maturity starts, to grow a little bit, then we can move to some red team exercise, and we can partner as well with some experts in the field. We're really more focusing. So the red teaming exercise or pen test exercise is just to show you, okay, what are the weaknesses, the weak point that you have in your system. That's fine. But then, okay, so what? So I was also the chief information security officer. I purchased some red team exercise. The goal was not to do it for its sake. It was, okay, now that I got the result, what should I do? What should I prioritize? So what are the main risks? What are the control that I thought it was protected, but actually they are not. So we do offer this as a starting point to build a strategy on it. So we really of course we have a lot of technical capabilities with our consultants, but when we work with the company, we want to work with legal, we want to work with purchasing, we want to work with IT, of course, and also with top management. Otherwise, it's not going to last, and you're just going to do one-shot red team, trying to fix things here and there, but at the end of the day, your cybersecurity posture is still the same, and it didn't improve. So that's what we offer as a services. Yeah.
Thank you. Talking a bit about the courses and the training. So, what are the most popular or successful courses? What do students like from their perspectives?
Open source intelligence is probably a hit, across all students, because they love the investigating aspects of it. However, having said that, it can sometimes get uncomfortable, especially when they have to apply these OSINT techniques to themselves as part of the classroom. But hey, that's the reality. That's how, hackers out there are targeting them or are targeting us. So you better learn it, in a safe environment, than learning it the hard way. So yeah, it's definitely something that our students appreciate as part of the training courses.
Very interesting. Do you have also a favorite topic? Do you hold classes or as well?
Yeah, I do. More on the diagnosis, cybersecurity diagnosis phase, organization audits, reporting lines, the concept of 3 lines of defense applied to cybersecurity. That's the session that I have. So of course that's my favorite because I know the topic and I lived it actually. So I had several bosses when I was CISO. So that's the one I do. So I don't do technical, some cryptology, etc. So I have my business associate doing this. But yeah, so I'm more on the auditing part, which is basically my main competence in that field.
I think you named some of the challenges, but what do you think the next couple of years will bring to you on this business actually? Or you can the education for cyber.
Yeah, for cyber education, okay, the first one is quite an obvious one, but it's to keep pace with technology evolution. You need to make sure that your training program stay relevant, accurate. You make sure that you have the real world use cases, the appropriate data sets, so the students can actually have some practical activities. So that's true for cybersecurity, but that's true for everything basically. So
and that's very difficult. I understand that.
Yeah. So and trying also to anticipate. So are we gonna train them on quantum cryptography or not. So is it maybe too early, too late? So you don't want to be too early because it's not going to be applied in the job market. You don't want to be too late because now it's already out there. And you also need to find the right speakers, the right teachers that have actually experience on the field that can illustrate the theoretical concept by actual event that they lived on the ground. And that's also part of the challenge, to make sure that you have the pool of teacher, relevant teacher, the right simulation platform and tools adapted to the current and future technology. So that's difficult. So I'm coming back on the example I was giving earlier on, OT and IoT. So IoT, 2 years ago, when we opened the school, it wasn't part of the program. It is now part of it. So you can't stay on the same program for years. It doesn't work. So you need to adjust. You need to adapt. Yeah. And to make some choices. Yeah.
And you have the return of investment aspect as well, which
Absolutely.
Makes it actually really difficult.
Yeah. And actually this is the first challenge. Okay. Technology evolution, having the appropriate, speakers or teachers. And then right after that, it's about business acumen. So what the business wants. Cybersecurity is only there to serve an organization goal. All right. So it's not the end game. And we need to train students with this mindset. All right. So that's one. And to make sure that whenever you reach out to a business out there, to understand what they want in terms of human resources, in terms of soft skills, in terms of hard skills. And the challenge is most of the time, some of them lack the maturity to express even what they want in a proper way. So you need to figure it out sometime. Or they have some unrealistic, expectation. And we need to tell them, look, we're not going to find someone, less than 30 years old, more than 20 years of experience in a technology that does not exist yet. So, and you see that sometimes. So that's also a challenge. So we need to, that's a good thing about me, working in a consulting firm on the same time than in the education field, is to see what are the challenges that our customers have and to re-inject this back into our programs to make sure they're relevant. So that's the second challenge. And the last challenge is of course diversity. And when I talk about diversity, I'm not talking only about gender diversity. I'm talking about social, professional background. And the thing is today, cybersecurity isn't just about hacking or CTF competition. And it's a multi-dimensional field that requires various perspectives. And if we, market or limit how we present the field, then we are, we limit the talent pool. And that's a missed opportunity. So of course, it's fun. It's a way to attract people or students in that field. You can see it on TV shows, on movies. That's great, but it's such a small fraction of what you do when you do cybersecurity. And then there are a lot of people actually seeing this. It's not for me. I don't want to go in that field. So working on diversity and making sure that you build an attractive, job string for them is key. That's one of the challenge too. Otherwise, we're still going to reproduce the same or replicate the same kind of profile, reacting the same way to incident response. And incidents out there, they are, different. They are more and more sophisticated. So we need to have different angle, different way of viewing this. You can't cut yourself from half the population when you deal with cybersecurity. So so technology evolution, diversity, and business acumen will be, to me, the three main challenges for cyber education.
You described it pretty well to understand it. And you even started to think of the diversity aspects. That, for instance, people I know who could fit very well into some of the roles within the cybersecurity, and themselves, they would never think of doing that.
Absolutely.
And maybe we could change that, and it would be beneficial for all of us within this society. Yeah. Great. And if you would talk to younger or even senior professionals which are currently not yet working in the cybersecurity, but they would like to, or they are considering changing career, What would you suggest for them? What's the best approach? What do you think?
Well, I don't have much recommendation to give, honestly. I mean, it's most of the time when you're going into that field, it's about being passionate about something. It's about, staying curious, keep learning, don't be afraid to make mistakes because this is how you grow. And my recommendation also will be to cultivate passions outside of cybersecurity, because you need to keep the balance. It's quite a demanding job. It can be quite stressful. So if you don't have this, side passion that you care for, it can be tough. And when it comes to seniors, I'd say it's never too late. I mean, it's not because you're a senior practitioner that you can't learn anything. So keep learning for sure. But you need also to foster curiosity in others. So to be a mentor and encourage the younger generation to think critically and creatively, because you need to prepare the next round of them. I mean, maybe you're going to retire, so maybe you're not going to contribute anymore, or not to the extent you're doing as a senior practitioner. So make sure that you are identifying and mentoring the next generation. So that would be my piece of advice. I'm not sure if that's any helpful, but yeah.
No, it's like you brought in another aspect which I find really interesting. The role of the new talents somehow incorporated into the organization, which is beneficial for both the senior ones, let's say even the older people, and those, because they bring in new attitude, new kind of knowledge, most likely even technical knowledge, because the tools, the environment is changing rapidly, as you have just described it. So I find it interesting. I listened to a podcast recently about startups, and they used the person who was sitting in the studio was describing the role of startups in the economy, and he described it that way, that even though a startup would fail, it would be the best and the biggest infusion to the economy, because it brings in new talent, people with totally different backgrounds, which are eager, as you said, so they have the willingness to bring something new and to prove that they are capable of doing that. And these, if they are bought or acquired by larger companies, then they just will be the department of innovation for these large companies, or if they fail, they will be very, very valuable people to be hired in such or similar organizations. I think that's the same with newcomers, or even younger people changing careers within the cybersecurity.
Totally. Yeah.
Great. So we have a topic in the CyberPod EU podcast, which is called the Headline of the Week. Yeah. So let's talk about this article now.
Headline of the Week.
This article, which I have chosen for this, was from last week, so pretty recent, on securityweek.com. We will share the link with the audience. It's about a Microsoft vulnerability, actually a zero day, which has been already exploited. I don't want to go in details. Some Ukrainian targets were unfortunately attacked with success, but then we know what happened in the background. The whole attack chain was discovered. And yet again, Microsoft is in the headline. As we visited in Redmond, Microsoft headquarters together, and which we had a lot of chat about Microsoft, I thought it would be a good idea to talk a bit about, so many aspects of the Microsoft. What did you derive from this very article, and what are your thoughts on security with regards to Microsoft?
Actually, as we speak, we are using Microsoft Teams, so. So just a way to say that there's no way to escape Microsoft, right? So we're talking about a customer base of 8 billion, 34,000 security engineers, 78 trillion security signals a day. So that's a massive attack surface, and sometimes if you want to protect that, it's like mission impossible. Having said that, it's so present that there's a saying, with great power come great responsibility. So whenever Microsoft is taking a security decision, it's not only impacting their business, it also affects and ripple across industries and governments. So you can see sometimes a struggle to balance protecting users of Microsoft products and protecting their bottom line. Of course, they can do better. They did already a lot. But yeah, to me, they can do better, and they need to find this right balance. And yeah, that's the way it is. So we're gonna still have 0-day, you're gonna still have CVE. They're gonna take more or less time to apply the corrective patches. You're gonna have some, old operating system of IoT running with old operating system for which you have actually no solution than to move up and upgrade it. All right, that's business, right? So I don't know what to say. It's we are dependent. We are dependent for sure, and we need to push Microsoft as being users, consumers. We need to push this kind of cooperation to take the right decision from a security standpoint and to find the right balance between security on one side and their business on the other side. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you have experience? I mean, your team or teams experience with the Microsoft tools, because they are performing better and better every year. Actually, they are acquiring the best, some of the best startups in this field. So, what is your opinion about them? And then, do you have it in your curriculum? I mean, within the school, or?
Yeah, we do have. Well, I wouldn't say that we have Microsoft dedicated courses. What we have as part of our IT or network lab or OT lab, we have some Microsoft products, because as a school we want to be agnostic from a tool perspective. All right. Yeah, but then we also train our students on old, let's say, Microsoft operating system like Windows XP or even 95, because this is what you find still, especially in the OT environment. So it's about being trained for what you're going to find in the real world. So not everyone out there is already passed to the Windows 11 version. So that's what we have. Yeah.
It must be funny. So I remember I loved my Microsoft 95, for instance, and people who were born after 95 facing that system, which is still, I think, similar. I mean, it's a Windows.
Yeah, it's Windows. No, but you need to show them the reality. So it's not only about training you on the actual technologies or the technologies, the future one. It's also about the former one, because they are still there. So that's what we offer. Yeah, that's part of our courses.
Absolutely. And tell me if it's a hard question. I mean, you don't have to take a side, but I have a pretty straightforward opinion regarding that. The Microsoft is, as you said, it's a dependency. And somehow the people or the stakeholders should make this decision on whether they truly and only trust Microsoft, or do they have a second solution in place to somehow be prepared for the situations when somehow Microsoft fails. Do you have a thought on that, or how do you address this difficult question?
No. Again, to me, you can't escape Microsoft, because if it's not there as your main operating system, it's going to be somewhere else in some of the products you're using. It's going to be your cloud instances, for instance. So there's I mean, you can't really escape that. What you can do is to choose different actors depending on different application or different. So this is what we were doing in my former company. So we had Google Cloud Platform on one side. We had AWS for the infrastructure as a cloud, and we had Microsoft when it came to the OT environment. So it's a question when you can. Again, we were able to do it because we had the scale to do it, right? And we have different use cases that we can pick out. So to choose which product we're going to use. It's not the case for mid-sized company out there. So what I just want to say is you need to choose wherever you and to be super tough and stringent on your security requirements. Whatever the product or the environment you're choosing, you need to be super clear of what you want as a security level and to express it to to a Microsoft or an Amazon or a Google, because it's not going to come by itself. And that's typically what we're helping the company with when it comes to our consulting firm, is to help them crafting their security requirements so they can be applied and monitored afterwards, whatever the solution you pick. So that would be my take on this.
Thank you very much. I just look at the watch and it's almost an hour or gone. So I think we have run out of the time for now. I enjoy really this conversation. So I think we could do it for a couple of hours. But
we
maybe
could.
then
Actually,
we would be alone. Let's do it.
Yeah, next time we. Yeah.
or yes, let's pick another time for this. I would love that to do. And I'm also planning to invite some more members from the IVLP team.
That'd
so I think
looking
that would be great.
Hearing them. Yeah.
Yes, that would be great. So I'm really grateful for your big added value, not just because I like the way you are dealing with things in the world and in business, but also I think your aspects were new and refreshing from several questions today. So I really thank you for being here.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks a lot for inviting me to the podcast. It was a proposal that you made. I remember we were in a bus driving to some meetings out there, and well, you know what? I have the podcast. So would you accept to be there? So yeah, of course. Always happy to talk about cybersecurity.
Thank you very much. So, dear listeners, that was the next episode of CyberPod EU. I'm really happy that you were with us today, and thank you very much, Patrice, again. So with that, I conclude this session. Just stay safe in the cyberspace and listen to us the next time as well.
This was CyberPod EU, the European cybersecurity podcast powered by Sockwise.